So you can see that these types of fruit are now a sublist under the type of fruit heading, okay, or the main list item. So again, to do that, we just put an unordered list inside an unordered list. There's two unordered lists here, and it's very important to know that you close this list before you continue with this list. If we wanted to do the same with vegetables, we could. Another unordered list. I don't know. Spelled this totally wrong. It's not right. Everybody's going to be laughing at me. That's okay. Yeah. Okay, so this is doing lists. Now what we're going to be doing is, in addition to putting up all of your work from this class onto your web page, we're going to be creating here in a few minutes a web page that has a list of all your files, of everything you've done in class. So using these lists is something you're going to get very familiar with. Okay. Now let's go into some kind of more fun stuff. Makes HTML so nice, and that is links. Okay, so everything here is static. You could create everything here in Microsoft Word, right? It's like a picture of text. Now let's do a link. To do a link, we're going to use a new kind of tag known as anchor tag. Okay. A stands for anchor. Now, what we want to anchor goes in between this. So I'm going to say we're going to make a Google link now going to be anchored. And at the moment, it doesn't do anything. You can see it. It's down here. It's nothing too exciting though. Google link. To make it do something, we have to specify the href. Stands for hyperlink reference. So if I want to go to a web page, I need to specify I want to go to http://www.google.com. It is absolutely essential if you want to find a page on the internet that you throw this in first. If you don't throw this in first, what's going to happen is it's going to try to look on your computer for a file called this, www.google.com. Just like you have sample.html, it's going to look for a file named this on your computer, which you're unlikely to have. You're much more likely to find this online if you put this http:// in there first. Refresh. And notice when I refreshed it, all of a sudden it turned purple and has an underline now. And if I hover my cursor over it, you can see it says www.google.com right below it. And if I click it, it's going to take me to Google's webpage. That's all well and good. That's a link. The next thing we want to do is let's put some pictures in. Okay, so first we're going to put a picture in, and then we're going to put a picture in that is also a link, which is kind of cool. So the picture I'm going to use is actually the picture from the Google web page we were at, which is very boring today. Go to Google's web page. I'm going to hover my cursor over the image, and I'm going to right click and say Save Image As. Depending on what browser you're using, this might be slightly different. I'm going to Save Image As, and now you're going to want to navigate to your desktop and find that public.www/shortcut folder. If you don't see your desktop up here, you might need to go down to Computer and find it just the way you did when you created this shortcut. Okay, I want to go to follow that public.www link, go to CSC 180 in HTML, and I'm going to save this as just logo.png. PNG is the type, kind of like a JPEG. It's just a type of image. Say save. Okay. And now to include that in my web page, put a line break in. I'm going to use a tag called the image tag. Image tag. And again, like the line break tags, ER tag, and the horizontal rule tag, the image tag stands alone because it doesn't wrap around any text. You could argue it kind of contains an image, but it doesn't contain text. And so it stands by itself. And instead, what we do is we're going to say SRC for source. We have a source attribute. And now this image is stored in your folder. So notice the sample.html and the image are sitting right next to each other. That means they can see each other. We're going to talk next week a little bit more about file structure like this. But right now, these two can see each other. So if they can see each other, I'm going to say logo.png. Our web page, refresh it. Come down here, and there's the image right below the Google link. I could also save this as a JPEG and then just include it as long as I saved it. As long as I use the same thing here that I used when I saved it here, we're all good. So now the last thing we're going to do in this little sample.html web page that you guys have created is we are going to include an image as a link. It's pretty cool. So if I'm going to include an image as a link, the first thing I need is the image itself. Control-C, Control-V to paste it. There we go. So if we look at this link up here, this text is what gets clicked on to follow this link. Well, here we don't want to click on text, we want to actually click on this picture. So I'm going to wrap the picture with the anchor tag. Copy that right there. We have an A tag around the image tag. Now if I save it and refresh, come down here, and when I put my cursor over this bottom image, it's going to say, you can see it pops up right down, it goes away, www.google.com, and if I click on that image, it's going to take me to Google's webpage. Depending on what browser you have, this may actually have like a purple line around it. Okay, so you've created your very first web page. Something like this. It's nothing too fancy for now, but you can use this as a reference to go back. If you want to say, how did I do that again? Well, you can go back and you can always open up the HTML and you can see how you did each different part of the web page. To open up as HTML, if you go into, probably the best way to do that actually is we close this. You want to open it up as HTML, if you come in here and you double click on it, it's going to open it up as a web page, which isn't what we want. We want to see it as HTML. So if I go and I open up Notepad++, and then I say File, Open, go to my desktop, go there, and now I can open it up. It's going to show me all the HTML text.